Hello and welcome to everyone. Thank you so much for joining this webinar today, which we're co-hosting with Cvent. I do hope you can hear me. If you have any technical problems, just let us know in the chat window. So my name is Jessie Paul. I'm the CEO for Paul Writer. We're the co-host for this program. And the second in a series of event webinars that we're doing with Cvent, and we like to explore, how we can actually make our conferences, events more effective, more fun, and certainly more longer lasting. I personally like events because I think they give us a chance to interact in person or face to face through online and make new connections, learn new things. And I've actually been enjoying events for the last 20 odd years, and it's amazing how technology can help us to take the conversation forward from a program. So to help us learn a little bit more about, how we can do that, how we can extend the conversation beyond just, the exchange of cards or the meeting or, the presence at a webinar, how you can extend it, how you can use a mobile app to give a fresh boost to your events. We have with us two great speakers today. So we have Suryabir Singh, who's a regional marketing leader, India and EMEA for Cvent, and Pavvi Singh, who's a mobile solutions head, India and MEA for Cvent. So both of them are really great, and we have also quick housekeeping notes, which is if you have questions that you want to ask the speakers, just go ahead and post that in the chat window, and one of us will definitely reply to that. And at the end of the session, we will also open up for further questions if there are any. Any questions that you have, any technical issues, just keep it running on the chat window. And we will be sharing a recording with you. So don't worry, you don't have to take notes during the session. And with that, I'm going to hand over to Surya.
Thanks, Jessie, for the flattering introductions. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Suryabir Singh, and I lead the marketing for Cvent in India, Middle East, and Africa region. I have had the opportunity to serve few of the most challenging markets when it comes to selling technology globally, and fortunate enough to have decent success in the process. Joining me from Cvent is my colleague Pavvi Singh. He leads the mobile app and on-site business for this region. And Pavvi has been instrumental in helping some of our major clients leverage the mobile apps for their events of all sizes for the past few years. Looking forward to having some great questions from you and hope to share industry best practices with you from our experience. So if you can move on the next slide for agenda. Jessie, if you can have the control. Yep.
Have you got it now?
Yes. I have the control, but I cannot change the slides. Okay, so should I share my screen? Hope everyone can see my screen now. So
yes, we can see this.
We have 4 parts of the agenda, which is introduction to mobile, why your event needs an app, the value of an event app, the value an event app offers for your event, and Q&A at the end. And if you have any questions in between, you can ask in the chat window. We can take it from there. So let's get into this topic, why mobile app matters for your events. For the first time ever in the history of mankind, there are more connected devices than people. Let's just take a moment to consume this information. I'm sure all of us who are in the webinar today would have more than 2 or 3 devices which we use throughout the day. Laptops, desktops, mobile, iPads, smartwatches, etc. This ecosystem is going to get more complex as we move towards tomorrow. India is also not very different from global standards and catching up pretty fast. So we have almost 50% of our population using smartphones. 65% of our urban population use internet on smartphones on daily basis. And if you look at the top 20% of the users, which are the people we interact with almost on everyday basis, and specifically for business purposes, they have 3+ devices on an average and spend about 4 hours of their time on mobile apps. As per a recent study, it has been observed that on average, 3 to 4 hours is a global standard on mobile for people, and people tend to look at their mobiles at around 220 times per day. And that's how mobile has penetrated into our consciousness. So we need to appreciate the fact that mobile is here to stay longer and stronger. So that's why if we don't have a strategy to capture people's attention on their mobiles during our events, we are missing out on a huge opportunity. Event industry in general has taken to mobile in the last few years. Cvent conducts a benchmark study for mobile apps every year, and in our latest reports, we have observed that out of 3 event planners across the globe, at least 2, which is almost 67%, use mobile apps somewhere during their event life cycle, either to collect a feedback survey or to engage attendees during the event. So now the question is, what's next? Where do we go from here? If we go even 3 to 4 years back, there were very few events which used mobile apps for their event. And it was considered more of a novelty than necessity. Now it is becoming more mainstream, and for few trade shows, even essential. It's just a matter of time that delegates starts expecting mobile apps for information at every event, like they expect coffee and cookies. But an app is not the only thing that's on an event planner's or marketing charter. We wear too many hats during the events and are responsible for so many activities, all geared towards 2 key objectives. Number 1, delivering unforgettable event experiences to our attendees. And number 2, delivering unprecedented return on investment, that is ROI, to the business. So attendees in business becomes our key stakeholders, and various activities like increasing attendance, maximizing sponsorship, measuring ROI, etc. part of it. Given all this and various other things that you do, event planning has been ranked as one of the most stressful jobs of 2018. Ranking along with defense personnels, firefighters, airline pilots, and police officers. So you can have a round of applause for yourself for the kind of stress we live in and the activities that we do. And that's why planning an event is definitely not easy. Now, the biggest question you'd have on your mind is how a mobile app can help you achieve these objectives. To address the possibilities and the evolution of mobile apps into event industry, I invite Pavvi to guide you through the next stage of the webinar. Pavvi?
Thanks, Surya. Thank you very much. Can you stop sharing your screen so that I can, I can start sharing my screen from here? Let me know if you're able to see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Well, first of all, thank you so much for everyone for taking up the time to attend this webinar today. My name is Pavvi. I look after Cvent's business in Africa, Middle East, and Asia. And I've been working on mobile applications for almost 8 years now. So I've seen a lot of transition of how mobile applications have become a must-have today. Back in the day when mobile applications started, they were just nice to have. And I'm going to talk a little bit about evolution, where we are coming from, and where exactly we are going with this mobile application stuff. Everybody's talking about how the world is going mobile. I personally believe the world has already gone mobile. So what I want to talk about today is how a mobile application can help you achieve these objectives. Before I do that, I wanted to share a bit of perspective with everybody. Now, I presume that everybody on this webinar today is either related to events or is a part of a marketing team. And we all are familiar about different channels we get leads from. The largest channel you get your leads from is a company website. That's where you invest a lot of money. And the second largest channel where you get your money or your leads is events. Now, I've seen organizations spending millions of dollars on their websites just to track that 2 to 10 second visit per attendee. So if I was to ask anybody on this webinar today that, can you tell me how many people visited your company website and how many of those people visited this particular page and what was the average time spent on this particular section? I'm sure you all would have analytics to tell me the exact journey of that particular click or that attendee on your website. So companies spend millions of dollars to track that 2 to 10 second visit of an attendee. But what about the second lead channel? When a person is spending almost a full day, sometimes a couple of days with you at your event, all you know is that this person has just registered at your event. You do not know the attendee journey. You don't know how many people he interacted with. You do not know if he took a survey or not. You don't know if he engaged with a speaker or not. You don't know which all sponsors or exhibitors booth did he visit. So there is no analytics. Nobody even thinks about this stuff. This is why I'm going to talk about why this has become a must-have for events now. Now, the evolution of mobile application, before I jump in there, I wanted to talk a little bit about the evolution of mobile phones, actually, before I jump there. Back in the day, I'm sure you all would remember those big Nokia phones. They used to double up as security devices as well. You could actually throw it around somebody. They still would not break. The battery used to last like 3-4 days at a time. And all you could do was just take calls and send SMSs and probably play a game called Snake. And then from that particular phone, today we all have smartphones. People have Android phones, there's iPhones. There are different brands who come up with new smartphones every day and out. I was, looking at, reading through the news and I saw that now there's a phone which doesn't even have a fingerprint scanner. It's inbuilt on the screen. So we have seen a transition on mobile phones. Back in the day, they were just a nice to have. If I was to ask a group of people that how many of them carry phones, normally about 10% or maybe 5% people would raise their hands back in the day, about 8 or 10 years ago. Today, if I was to ask you guys, I'm sure everyone would have a smartphone today. Some of you may even have 2 smartphone devices because just one is just not enough. So we have seen that transition. Now let's talk about mobile applications. I've been working on mobile applications for almost 8 years now, since the time they came into existence. And back in the day when mobile applications were introduced for events, they were basically just a replacement for printing, for printed brochures. So you could actually get a mobile application, have all the content on the app, and try and reduce your printing costs. And then came a phase where event planners started thinking about making it about attendees and making sure that attendees start adopting that app. So they came up with cool things like gaming, things like where they could interact with each other, things like where you could put in interesting updates through push notifications. And then there was a phase where event planners started using that mobile application as a networking device. Now you could actually set up appointments with other attendees as well. Now people started adopting it even more. And today, I have personally seen that each and every event warrants a mobile application. It's a must-have. Let me tell you something. Your attendees are addicted to their cell phones. It's true. No matter how many times you ask your attendees to not look at their phone or keep it away for the session, they will still look at it. If you do events and you've got two different sessions and there's a half an hour break between two sessions, what is the first thing every attendee does as soon as they step out of a session? They look at their phones because they are addicted to their cell phones. They use or they do everything on mobile applications, which is why a mobile application is a must for all the events today. Now let's talk about why exactly is it a must-have. What happens with a mobile application at an event? Before I jump in, I wanted to talk about a recent study which I was going through. There's this company called Edelman, and Edelman wanted to find out why exactly people attend events. So they did a research on about 2,000 event attendees to find out the reason behind these guys attending these events. So they reported that people attend events for two reasons. And those two reasons are professional development or networking. They either want to learn about new things, see what's going on in the industry, listen to speakers, see if there is any opportunity they can get, maybe find jobs. And the second reason is engagement. They want to meet with people. They want to network, because these relationships and these networking events, they result into good leads and good business at the end of the day. So these are the two reasons why people attend events. What I found was that these are the exact two reasons why you should have a mobile application. Here are some of the items which will provide the right professional content, the right content for professional development to your attendees. They will find their way to each and every session. Each session has its own description. They can look at all the details. Then you've got the complete description as well as the different presenters who are going to be there at that particular session. Each speaker can get associated with a particular session as well. Then you've got a section where people can take notes. So, no need to carry a pen and a paper. Let's talk about speakers a little bit. Speakers love visibility. The reason why they come and speak at your event is they want more followers. They want people to, come have click pictures with them, listen to them. And this is exactly what these speakers love. And you can do exactly that on the mobile application. Each speaker gets a detailed profile. There's a detailed bio. You can see which all sessions the speaker is presenting at. Okay, so this is how a speaker profile could look like. Each speaker can get a detailed bio as well as different sessions he's presenting at. This gives them visibility. People can follow them on their social media profiles, their Twitter handle, their Facebook profile, or their LinkedIn account as well. They can post their past work. So if I'm a speaker, I've been doing research on something, I would like to share it with the attendees who are going to be there at the event. I can upload that particular file on the mobile application so that people can see my past work. Now let's talk a little bit about engagement, the fun part of the event. Now, what if there is a way for your attendees to see a list of all those people who are attending your events? They could see a detailed bio and a profile for each and every attendee who is right there at the event. Each profile could look something like this. A picture with a nice bio, a link to the social media profiles. There are things like appointment setting, which you can do with any particular person. You can exchange contact information from right here. No need to, exchange business cards. Plus, you can also send them a one-on-one message. So no need to, ask them for a phone number. If you're doing an event overseas, some of them don't even have a local number. What they do have is a Wi-Fi access at the hotel or the property. So you can send them a message within the mobile application and set up a meeting with them. Here's some options which at an event is last minute changes. Last minute changes and events, they always go hand in hand. In fact, I can share a recent example. I was at the CFO summit in Mumbai. This was a couple of months ago, and there was a session by the managing director of Concur, Mr. Neeraj Dotal. And for some reason, his flight got delayed, and he wasn't able to make it on time. So there was a last minute change, and the organizers, they quickly had to bring in alcohol, beers, and made sure that everybody is busy during that particular time. They didn't want to, keep a gap of that particular session in the middle. So there are always last minute changes. There are so many interesting stories, and I'm sure you all have your own stories to tell, where you had a last minute change. You had to, you had a speaker who opted out. You had a attendee who wanted to change their registration. All those last minute changes can not only be communicated, but you can also get feedback from your attendees real time. Another example is that, let's say I'm attending a session and the air conditioning is not working. I could simply click on the survey, enter the details, and hey, looks like the air conditioning is not working. Real time, that survey can reach to the event planners and they can work on it. They can try and fix that problem. After the session, you can take this survey to give you a feedback about a particular session. After surveys, you could also take pictures at the event. Post those pictures on the mobile application and let everybody else see what's going on at that particular session. A lot of you, I'm sure you do concurrent sessions at your events. There are sessions which are happening at the same time but at different places. If I want to find out what exactly is happening on the other session, I could simply just go in and take a look at all the pictures and updates people have been making. This is an example of survey. Now, on this screen, I wanted to mention something important, and this is basically for the techies in the house. I'm sure some of you are familiar with what web-based applications are and what is native. Native is basically something which lives on your phone. Now, there are survey links which you can create through online free websites. You can just create a survey, send a link to the people, and they'll be able to take surveys. Most of them are web-based. So if there is no internet connectivity, the surveys just don't work. The link would keep refreshing. The survey on the application should be native, which is why attendees can come in and they can answer the question even if there is a problem with the internet connectivity. As soon as the connectivity comes back, it's going to sync with the backend. Another example of interaction between the speaker and the attendees is live polling. I'm sure you guys are all familiar with KBC, Kaun Banega Crorepati. And I'm sure a lot of you might have already done polling at their events. One of the biggest challenges for a speaker is to make sure that he always gets the attention of the attendees. And one of the best ways to do that is to keep the session interactive, to ask questions with the attendees. Ask them what's going on, get what their thoughts are. And this is exactly what you can do using the session poll. You can roll out a question on the mobile application, people can answer that question, and the results can be displayed real time. It's amazing how interactive the sessions can get. Now imagine somebody is attending a particular session. You could click a picture right there, like I mentioned earlier, post it on the mobile application, and others can go in and they can either share it on their social media, they can like it. Basically, they can get engaged with what exactly is going on at your event. If I'm interested in looking at what is going on in the complete event throughout all the sessions, I could go to all activity and I can see all the posts. So the feed is smart. It basically just picks all the updates from all the sessions as well as social media to display it in one single place. It could be integrated with Twitter, Instagram. So if you have a Twitter handle or maybe a hashtag where you are through which you post all your pictures, the system can actually automatically pick those pictures which are being posted, and they can display them right here. So now it has become one single place for all your social media activity. So no need to go to Twitter or Facebook or Instagram. Everything is going to be consolidated at one single place. Just one second. Looks like we have a question in the house. Okay, sorry. False alarm. Now, how many of you remember this device? This brings back good memories. And some of the supermarkets and departmental stores, they still use the scanner. But these were like huge handheld devices which used to scan those barcodes of these attendees when they used to come visit your event. I'm sorry, guys. Looks like I was muted accidentally. Okay, so this is how a handheld device used to look like back in the day. But today, we have QR scanners inbuilt on the mobile phones. They can be inbuilt on the mobile devices, you know, and those mobile devices can be used to scan a QR code of a particular attendee at the event or at the session as well. Now, let me harken back to what I said when I started this presentation. You need to find out what are the different touch points of the attendees at a particular event. You just don't need to know if they are registered or not. You want to find out what kind of sessions they are interested in, where exactly did they meet a sponsor, did they have a meeting, did they respond to a survey, and this is how you track an attendee journey at a particular event. Now you do not need any special device to make sure that you are able to scan these QR codes. You can simply just download an application. Now let's talk about sponsorships a little bit. I was just, about half an hour ago, I was on a call with the Jeep Club of South Africa. They do a lot of events, and they're planning to, do bigger events where they could invite local dealerships as well, because now they have a base of people, and sponsors would love to pay to advertise in front of that particular member base. What I like to say is that sponsors love the mobile application, and they're the ones who will probably pay for it as well, because there's a lot of online real estate available on the mobile application, which you can use to sell them. Here's an example of the splash screen. This opens as soon as you open the mobile application. You've got a rotating banner at the top. This is where you can post multiple images of those sponsors. So you can create different tiers of sponsors. You can have a bronze sponsor, gold sponsor, and a platinum sponsor. And each and every push notification can be sponsored as well. Now imagine you have about 500 people at your event from a particular industry. And if there is a sponsor, he would love to address those 500 people, sharing any interesting updates about the company, or maybe just talking about the new product which they have just launched. They can do it through push notifications. In my experience, I've seen event planners making as high as 5,000 to 10,000 rupees per push notification. And there is just no limit on sending push notifications. And you see immediate return, because you can track how many people clicked on it and how many people actually went to the sponsor website through that push notification. So this is good data. This is the list of exhibitors which you can have. So you can sell preferred listing to exhibitors as well. Here is an example of a scavenger hunt game, where you can set up challenges for your attendees. People can click pictures, and they can upload it on the mobile application to earn these points. And here is how a session looks like. Each and every session can also be sponsored. Now imagine the kind of sponsorship revenue you can generate on the mobile application. There is just a lot of real estate available. Now at this point, I wanted to share something. If you when we started back in the day, about 8 years ago, event planners used to consider mobile application as just an alternative to the printing material. Like I mentioned when I was talking about the evolution of mobile applications. And the problem with brochures is the brochures are nice. They're just too heavy to carry. Plus, they don't tell how many people actually looked at them. If you have a sponsor logo mentioned or placed on the event brochure, it is not going to be telling you how many people actually looked at that sponsor logo. But a mobile application does. If you have a sponsor logo or even multiple sponsor logos on the mobile application, you can actually track how many people clicked on it, how many people looked at it, what were different statistics, and sponsors love these details. Now I need you to imagine your next meeting with your sponsors. For the sales guys in the room, the ones who actually do these meetings, who go to sponsor offices and try to fetch sponsorship for a particular event, imagine your conversations, how they could change now when you have a mobile application. You could be like, hey, last year at our event, we had about 500 attendees, and there were 5,000 impressions on your sponsor logo. Out of those 500 attendees, 200 of them actually clicked on your logo, and 100 of them filled in a survey expressing interest in one of the recent products you launched. Now, versus a conversation where you would be like, hey, we are doing a great event. We're going to have about 500 attendees, and we're doing brochures. Would you like to have your logo on the brochure? The truth is, people don't even carry these brochures back home. They're just too heavy. We all know where they land. And a mobile application is not just a greener alternative. It's a better way to get more sponsorships as well as generate revenue. Generate revenue. If you go and tell a company that they can actually save cost on doing something, they might not be, I'm going through my existing process, things are working fine. Okay, I might be able to save a few $100, maybe 2 or 3 lakh rupees, but then I'll have to change everything. But the moment you tell them about the way they can generate revenue, if you tell them that, by using this particular thing, you can generate 10 lakh rupees additional for your company, then you immediately have their attention. Because generating ROI, generating revenue always beats saving cost. And that's the truth. Try this conversation next time when you're in the room with a sponsor. And this is an example of how you can share the reporting as well as analytics with your sponsors. The number of banner impressions they've had, the number of banner taps they've had, how many users are using this particular mobile application with a nice graphical view, which can also be exported into an Excel file. You can also look at most popular sessions. Now, this is good feedback for your speakers. You could tell your speakers that, hey, your speaker was, this session was really, really popular. We would probably want you to come back next year for the event as well. If there was a if there was a session which was not that great, you might want to change that next year. So this is good insight for you. Plus, you can, of course, get all the survey reports on the tap of your hand. No need to carry those printed papers, hand it over to people, or ask, you don't need to ask those volunteers to go out and ask people for their feedback. Now, everything can be electronic right on the palm of your hand. Here's the bottom line. The world is not just going mobile, it has already gone. So everybody already has a mobile application. They crave for it. It not only saves a lot of money for you in terms of printing costs, communicating last minute changes, as well as the administrative time, it also extends your brand and establishes your show in the market. It optimizes the event experience in a way that you can track the complete attendee journey. You know exactly what an attendee did at your event. And at the end of the day, your attendees demand it. Today, if you go to an event, people ask you that, do you have a mobile application? I don't want to carry this brochure. Maybe I can just download the information. So don't get left behind. Try a mobile application today. Now, when it comes to choosing a mobile application provider, and this is an important step because we live in a country where in almost every nook and corner you'd find a software developer. You'd find a web developer, somebody who's willing to do a mobile application for you. It's important to understand the kind of company you're joining hands with. Let me give you an example. And I just shared the same example with the last call I was on with the Jeep Club of South Africa. That there is a cheap car and there is an expensive car. They both take you from one point to another. The only difference is the experience. So you may get an app for cheap as well, which might just serve the purpose, but you will not going to get a good user experience until and unless you have a tested application. CrowdCompass has been doing it for almost 8 years now. We've been in business, the event technology business, for almost 19 years now. We do events of all shapes and sizes. Approximately 3,000 employees come to work every day in our global offices. Our headquarters are based out of the US. We've got an office here in New Delhi as well. We've got offices in Sydney, Singapore, Dubai, Frankfurt, London, and multiple offices in the US. The reason why I share this information is because it's important to understand the kind of support you can expect. The software developer should not be someone who just sells you a software and then just wishes you good luck. They'll need to handhold you throughout the entire process. We're the #1 event app developer in the App Store, and there's a reason behind it. And just to give you a size and the understanding of how big we are in the event technology industry, even if you combine all our competitors together, they're still not as big as Cvent.
Okay, they have to do this to get the voice.
Now, when it comes to developing a mobile application, it's also important that you take a look at how flexible it is, because the mobile application is basically an extension of your brand. So it should look like your event website, or it should definitely abide by your branding guidelines. So you should pick and choose a solution which is basically flexible. Here are some of the examples of the mobile applications we have done in the past. They could be colorful, they could be professional, they could be fun. So it should be flexible enough for you to be able to adjust to it. Now, when it comes to choosing the provider, these are the 4 things which we recommend based on my experience. The mobile app development process should be easy. You shouldn't have to run around a software developer. I'm sure marketeers in the house today would all have an experience where you have to run around the IT team or the software vendor which you engage with just to make a small change on the website. You need to choose the vendor very carefully so that he's able to support you throughout the process, and it's an easy thing for you. You need to opt for a solution that empowers everybody. It's not just about providing the right content. It's about engaging everybody, providing a great experience for exhibitors, sponsors, speakers. Plus, the support comes in really, really handy. When you are adopting to a new technology, it is really important for you to be able to get help. Cvent offers 24/7 support. Plus, we also have a dedicated project coordinator as well as an account manager who makes sure that we walk you through the entire process. Plus, the solution needs to be scalable. What's cool today may just be average tomorrow. That's the world of technology we live in, ladies and gentlemen. Back in the day, we were really happy when we got SMS functionality on our phones. Then we got WhatsApp, and then now everybody is getting onto this bandwagon. You've got Facebook Messenger, Instagram has a chat, there's WeChat, and so many other stuff. So it keeps evolving. You need to make sure that you're investing in a partner who has a vision, who keeps investing into new things, so that you're able to get the latest technology at all times. This is it from my end, ladies and gentlemen. I want to open the floor for any questions. Feel free to post your questions on the chat box, and I would love to answer them for you. Okay, we have our first question right here from Rahul from Phoenix Meals. And so his question is, most of our events are brand partnership events. Wait a second. So most of his events are brand partnership events or influencer events. Wondering how application would work for guests in any event. That's a great question. Now, when you are talking about a brand partnership, you're talking about events which actually influence people. It's very important that you have the mobile application which is established, which goes with your branding guidelines and which people can take away with them. Now, let me give you an example. We work with a lot of clients who do partnership events, where you have partnered with a brand. The sole purpose of these events is that people take away that information with them back. So even at the end of the event, during the event, of course, I have a great experience using a mobile application. I can engage with attendees, I can get the right content, but at the end of the event, I can also take that application away with me. I can share that collateral which is on the app with any of my colleagues. I can get push notifications even after the event is done. So established as your brand, now it works as a marketing channel for your brand. And partners love this because now they're able to keep in touch with all the event attendees on a regular basis. So this is just one of the ways how you'll be able to establish or use an application for your events. But that's a great question. Any other question, ladies and gentlemen?
I have a question which came in on the private message, which is you talked about ROI, but to better understand that, is there some idea of the investment required to build such an app?
Sure, absolutely. Thanks. And this is a great question because the first thing which comes into our mind is how much is it going to cost? The price depends upon the size and the complexity of the events. We do not work on a complex pricing model where you can pick and choose different features and you can activate or deactivate stuff. It depends upon the size and the complexity. So if your events are smaller, maybe about 20-30 people or 50 people, networking events, the price would be in lower range, somewhere close to $1,000. Maybe let's start with about 60,000-70,000 rupees, which includes everything: support, all the features, polling, engagement features. And if your events are higher, let's say about 1,000 people event or 5 to 6,000 people trade shows, then the pricing goes in a higher range. Then the price is going to be somewhere close to $8,000 to $10,000. Because the reason why there's such a hike is because we align a lot of resources who support you throughout the event. And we need to get an understanding about how big your event is, because that's the number of resources we need to assign. So it ranges from anywhere between $1,000 to $10,000, depending upon the size and the complexity of the event. I hope that answers the question.
That does. And, a follow-on question to that is also, what's the life of the app? I mean, how long can you store your data in that?
That's a smart question. And in fact, I wanted to mention a recent change by Apple for this. Now, when we create a mobile application, and it's not just us, maybe it could be any app developer in the market, Apple says that the application needs to go live through the event planner or the event owner's Apple developer account, which is a good thing. And the good thing is because when you publish an application using the event owner's Apple developer account, that app stays there. The event owner is the in charge of the application. We cannot take that away. Now, in terms of the backend support, we do 1 year licensing. So even if you sign up just for one event, which let's say happens in November or December, you still get access to the backend for 1 full year. So you can send push notifications, change the agenda, or send out survey requests for 1 full year, and you'll be able to access all the reporting from the backend. So we sign yearly contracts, but the pricing is based on a per event basis.
Also, I had a question, which is how long does it take? Like, how early should you start planning in order to get the app ready in time?
So the recommended time is anywhere between 2 to 3 months before the event, or before the ideal app launch date. Because normally Apple takes about a couple of weeks just to approve an application. And then you need to upload all the content, data, get all the graphics right. So the whole process takes about a couple of months. So we recommend starting at least 2 to 3 months before the event.
Great. I think that answers my question. And I just want to leave you with one final kind of a question, which is, in your personal experience, is there an anecdotal or whatever story of the best results that someone has got from using an app for an event?
Sure, there are a lot of success stories, a lot of, and I can share those success stories with you over an email, which you can share with the attendees. But it reminds me of a funny story, actually. I think everybody is going to be is going to have fun listening to this. So I was attending an event in Las Vegas, and this truck was carrying printed brochures in it. And there was a group of thugs who started following that truck on the highway, and they waved their guns and asked the driver to pull over. The driver pulled over. They opened the truck and they found paper. They thought that the truck was carrying money in it. They got so furious that they set the truck on fire. Now, it was a huge blow for the event planner. They had a mobile application, so they turned it into an opportunity. They started telling everybody that it's we are going green and we're not using any paper at the event. But this is an example of how you can work with last-minute changes in situations like these. Plus, there are a lot of success stories where people have started generating a lot of revenue. In fact, the most recent one was just half an hour ago. I was on a call with the Jeep Club of South Africa. They started as a very small adventure event club, and now they've been generating so much revenue using mobile applications because a lot of dealerships, a lot of tire dealerships, they love to sponsor these events. They get a lot of visibility. So it's.
Pavvi, this is Surya. So one of the recent examples from back home, India, is a Global Panorama Showcase. They have they're a travel management and tourism company, and they organize events at a lot of smaller cities in India. And in the last couple of years, they have invested into 10 different event apps with us, and they have saved more than 50 lakh rupees just in printing brochures. And that's a huge saving apart from all the sponsorship money that they have earned from the app.
That's great. And actually, there's a related question from Tushar, which is, do you need to build a separate app for each event?
Okay, so there can be two different kinds of applications. And it could either be just one event for your entire organization, let's say ABC company, and all your events could be a part of that particular application. So in this case, you do not need to create a separate app for separate event. However, for trade show organizers who have their intellectual property in these trade shows, they can create separate applications for separate events as well. So there are both the options available.
Great. I think with that, we're a little bit out of time, and there are no more questions as well. So there was a poll, so we will share the results, and we've also shared the links to some documents, which again, we will enclose along with the thank you mail. So Surya and Pavvi, thanks so much for your time. It's been a great discussion. We've learned a lot about apps and how it can be used for events as well. So thanks again to everyone for joining in today, and particularly our co-host, Cvent.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Jessie, for the opportunity, and thanks a lot, everyone.
Thank you.